Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to our platform, and thank you so much for joining the platform today. So, guys, if this is your first time here, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and support the movement. If you like this video, YouTube is going to recommend to so many people and equally bring them here to watch and benefit. So someone told me he wants to move to Denmark, but he doesn't understand the process. Normally, I have done videos about this on how to move to Denmark, but there are some updates, and I would like to also talk about the updates so that any other person who intends to apply to Denmark should do it immediately. Now, remember, on this platform, I talk about my journey abroad. I talk about my experiences. I equally bring these videos because of my research capabilities. I don't want you to fall victims to people because I was once a victim to all of this. And people are still complaining that they are victims. So I want you to learn how to do it yourself. Let's go to the video proper. Now, if you want to move to Denmark, know that Denmark have two application cycles: the January-February intake and the September intake. I'm going to be talking about those who want to move for the January-February intake of 2025. First thing you should understand is that you can move to Denmark with your family. Your family here, I mean your children, your wife. When you are applying for the study visa, you can apply for the study visa, then you apply for your family to join you so you guys can move together. Not as if you will go to Denmark then come back later. But it is going to be very cost effective, like it's going to cost you a lot of money. So if you ask my opinion, I will tell you that go alone, then you give your family an invitation to then join you. The reason is simple: you need more money, and secondly, accommodation in Denmark is no-go area. It's not a joke. You need to find accommodation for long before. And remember, you are going with family. You want to go with kids. How is it easy for you to get accommodation? It's going to stress you as a new immigrant in that country. So if you want to go to Denmark, understand that it's not that difficult, but admissions is very competitive and you need a lot of money. You need about 7 million CFA francs as a Cameroonian to move to Denmark, right, as proof of funds. There are other ways you are going to show this money, and you can only show the money in your bank account, not like you are going to do blocked account. But there is one important thing you need to put into consideration before you watch the entire video. What is the thing? When applying to schools in Denmark, note that as soon as you get admissions, you have just 14 days to pay your tuition deposit. You have to pay this money to secure your position. If you do not pay the money, your position will be given to another applicant who is more qualified. So please note all these things down before you start the application. Now let's go. How do you first of all check the schools in Denmark? There is no big site where you can go and find universities in Denmark, but you can do it individually by going to school site individually. For example, what are some of the schools in Denmark you should know? 1, there is a school called the University of Aalborg. 2, there is a school called the University of Roskilde. 3, there is a school called the University of Copenhagen. 4, there is a school called Technical University of Copenhagen. 5, there is a school called the University of Aarhus. And 6, there is a school called Technical University of Denmark, and another one called the University of Southern Denmark. Now, these are just some few universities that I mentioned here. You should also note that for you to study in this country, you need to know that tuition fee is paid per semester. And all these universities I gave you, none of them, I don't think there is a school that charge less than 3,500 euros per program, for any program per semester. For example, the University of Copenhagen charge at least 10,000 euros for one semester. Then the University of Aarhus have programs from 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 7,500 euros per semester. Then other schools like Roskilde and the University of Southern Denmark, they also have their own amount. So as soon as you are getting the admissions, you have to pay the first money. That complete money, if it's 10,000, you have to pay 10,000 euros before you proceed to visa application. We have identified the universities. What you now need to do is to apply for these schools. How do you apply? You go to the school's website. If you are looking for master's program, excellent. If you are looking for bachelor's programs, remember that bachelor's in Denmark is in the Danish language. Before I even forget, when you go to Denmark, make sure you are learning the language. Make sure you are studying hard and learning the language, because the language is going to help you get a good job. Even if the language doesn't help you to get a good job, it will still help you in future. But there are jobs in Denmark. Make sure, 1, you target schools in Copenhagen. 2, you target schools in southern Denmark because it's close to Copenhagen. 3, you target schools in Aarhus because it's close to Copenhagen. Why am I talking only about Copenhagen? Because there are more job opportunities in Copenhagen than other places in Denmark, especially warehouse jobs. Now, we have talked about this. For you to apply to these schools now, you need to go to the school's website and check the programs available. If you go to the University of Aarhus, you will notice that they have programs in 3 different campuses. Now, check the programs they have. Do they have a program you can study? If they do, when is the application deadline? Most deadline for the schools in Denmark would be around September, the end of September, some around the end of October. As I speak to you, application is open in Denmark already. Some schools do not have programs for January intake, while others do have. Some applications are still closed while others are open. So it is now your duty to do your due diligence to check the schools that are open. But I know University of Aalborg is always open and ready to accept international. As I'm talking to you, the University of Copenhagen is also open and accepting applications. So please go to this school site and apply for programs. Now, when you check the university, you check the requirements, it is now time for you to launch your application. They are so important. Now, when you check the schools, check the requirements, you now do the application. You first of all start by creating an account. When you create this account, you now fill in the details. You cannot submit without paying the application fee. Some schools have application fee for their program, others do not. Those that do not have application fee, you can submit immediately. But those that have application fee, you have to do the payment online, sometimes using a credit card. Now, when you pay, the application will be submitted. You have about 3 to 4 months to wait for results for your application. Now, if the result is positive, you will now need to apply for a visa to Denmark. Now, for the visa, do you know that Cameroon does not have the Danish embassy? Most countries do not have it. So you have to go to Abuja, Nigeria, and use the VFS Global Center to apply for the visa to Denmark. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that if you are moving to Denmark with your spouse, it is a good idea because they are going to work. But if you do not yet have accommodation where they will settle inside, for you to strategize, please, I will not advise you to move to Denmark alongside with your spouse. Now, if the 2 of you want to move together, make sure it is the hardworking person, probably maybe the male, because the male will be able to work full time, not the person going to school. If you are applying to study in Denmark, the person who will go to school should be the one who is weak, so that the person who is very hardworking should go and hustle. You understand? Not like those who are not going to school, who came as dependents, cannot work. They can also work, but they have limitations. I hope this helps you. Now, remember, I talked about the schools, I've talked about the requirements, I've talked about the fees. Let's talk about the visa now. When you are going to the embassy to apply for the visa, remember that when you got admissions, you were asked to pay some money. If you do not pay, your application is dissolved. But if you pay, then excellent. What are you paying for? You are paying your tuition fee. After you've paid the tuition fee, you now add the receipt to the other documents to apply for your study visa in Denmark. You are now applying for your visa. When you apply for your visa, there are forms that you have to fill, all right? And there are some money that you need to pay. In another video, there is a video on this channel I did about previous, I think few days back, about how to study in Denmark. When you do this payment, all these fees, you are now going to use the documents to apply for the visa. Remember, it's very important for you to identify such issues so that you fix them early. When you are going to the embassy, you are going with some documents. In that video I did already, all those documents are there. Now, the only thing is, do not lie to the visa officer, because if you do, if they suspect anything, they might call you for an interview. So you need to put all these things into consideration. It's so important because at the end of the day, it is what matters that we really care about, which is the visa. So when moving to Nigeria, there are a lot of other things I would have loved to say here, but I already mentioned them in that other video. Please check the video and watch it. And if you are looking for other places where you can move and start your studies by next year January, you should also look at Switzerland. You should also look at the Lithuania. You should also look at Sweden. Sweden is still open and will close soon. You should also look at Malta. These are some of the places you should consider as an international student if you really want to move abroad in 2025. Now, this is the end of my info, and I think more info will be dropping in the days ahead. So see you in another one, and do not forget to share this video. Thank you so much. Till we meet again in another one. Bye bye.